Hey, what's up, everyone? Dave Fernandez here. Welcome to the Coach Your Way show. This is episode number 8 of our interview series, What It Takes to Be a Coach. And today we have a very special guest coming to us from Naperville, Illinois, Juli Gauthier. How you doing, Julie?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for accepting my invitation to be here. Julie is a business and life coach who uses energy healing to open up their clients and help them up-level their lives. Julie, when was the first time that you experienced the call to become a coach?
You know, it's really interesting. I think I've been feeling it off and on my whole life. And then I'd say about 20 years ago, we started homeschooling, and it just started that whole thing. Not only was I really just coaching my kids, but I was coaching other parents. So in 2014, when the opportunity became available for me to really move into being an official coach, it was just easy. It was easy to jump on board. And it was that's when I recognized the word, and started charging money,
Very key, very key. What were you doing prior to that?
So prior to that, I had just spent 15 years homeschooling my kids. But while I was doing that, I was also helping run the back end of our family business. We have a 7-figure holistic healthcare business that for 20 some years, I helped run marketing. I was CFO. I did all the back end type work and the big visioning for that business.
So you were always an entrepreneur. If you will.
Yeah, since I was 5, there are jokes my parents have about me making businesses under my bed and then taking them on the street, and people thought I was cute enough they'd actually give me money. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Working out the system, huh?
Yeah.
Tell me, what was that transition like for you? From all of a sudden being, almost like the full-blown manager of that business and actually, going on to start helping people.
It was really interesting in ways. It happened to me. I was asking for it. I was asking the universe, if you're into the manifesting world at all. I was kind of putting it out there as it was time for me to start my own thing and really serve about my mission and what it is that I was put on this earth to do to help. And before that, I was helping raise my kids, and that's a great mission. It's very important. And I was helping my husband with his business, and that was important too, but it was my turn. So the transition, it's everything I had done up until that point led me into that place. And it was amazingly easy in some ways and amazingly hard. It's surprising the things you don't know. And yeah. So
what were some of the challenges that you experienced?
Figuring out what kind of coach I was. It took me a good 3.5 years to really land into something that felt right. And that is not uncommon, so don't give up. And whatever you start with, I've seen this maybe 400 or 500 times now. Whatever you start with, don't put the big money into the website, because you're going to change, and you're going to change in a couple months. And just try different things. And if you're just open to the process, it's it guides you into what your specialty is going to be. You'll get into a client or a set of clients that are super excited about this particular type of transition that you can create for them, transformation. And then all of a sudden it's this is my niche. I can feel this.
That's awesome. And that's so true, man. I remember my own journey. It's God, it took so long to finally, realize, okay, this is the people that I can help, right? And because you're all over the place at the beginning, and yeah, you just want to help people. You can, but, you become what they call a generalist, right?
Yes.
Okay, a problem arises, yeah, call me. Another problem, call me. But, in the end, that doesn't get you, anywhere. Eventually you want to specialize on something. And funny that you touch on the website thing, because I did the same thing. I spent several years just working on my website. And the funny thing was that as soon as I started getting clients, not one ever visited my website. I'm like, you haven't been to my website? No, I didn't even know you had a web. Well, because I had a funnel, right? With, just going from Facebook ads straight to landing pages. And it just so funny. And I couldn't believe it, because that's where we all start, right? Anyway, have you ever been coached per se?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think what got me into the idea of what coaching actually was, and the fact that I was already doing it, or at least mentoring, was in 2011, I ended up going to a Tony Robbins event.
Yeah.
And so, and of course, he's the grandfather of this whole thing, the coaching industry. And I've been to 12 of his events now. I took his training in how to coach and how to be a leader using his formats. So that's the starting of the coaching industry. And actually, I took all that stuff in order to help my husband's business. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute, I could actually use this for myself. And then I've had a bunch of other coaches too. I mean, if you're going to be a coach, go experience what it's like. And you always want to be learning, because I was on I have a coach right now, and I was on a coaching call on Tuesday and got off that call, went on a call with a client. Her question was specifically answered in the coaching that I had received in there. The 3-step process my coach gave me was the answer to what she needed. Like, it was right there. And it's because I just gotten that awareness. It was so easy to give it to her. I could see it in myself. I could see it in her. So as we continue to grow, it's just so much easier to be excited about it and to transfer that on down the line.
For sure. Do you think that being coached kind of like made you realize eventually that that's what you wanted to do, or that you would be good at doing something like that?
It's funny so I started with UPW, which is his introductory, with Tony Robbins' introductory event, because we got it as a bonus for Business Mastery. We signed up for Business Mastery because we needed some business help. We wanted to take things to the next level. And within the first hour or two, he was talking about things that I hadn't met other people who had in my everyday life who had thought that way. Like, the reasons I homeschooled were not the same as the people around me. The reasons I did certain things, I couldn't find anybody else who was into this stuff the way he was. So by hearing him and seeing him and the way he worked with people, I was like, that's where I want to go. And that's what I've been missing. I just didn't even know that was available. So yes, I think being coached was like the light bulb moment of like, okay, I'm kind of already doing this. How can I turn this into my life's purpose now?
I never really understood either, what coaching was like, right? And I got a coach for something very specific many years ago. And I was like, man, I mean, it opened up a lot of things in me that were kind of already there, because I had been reading, this material and Tony Robbins stuff, consuming all those things over years. But I never had that interaction with a real coach who actually taught me, strategies or techniques on how to manage all this information, because the information doesn't do anything if you don't know what to do with it, right?
Exactly.
That's funny. So anyway, I think, as a matter of fact, I remember recently in another interview, somebody mentioned pretty much along the lines of what you just said, that if you want to know more about coaching or experience it, I mean, yes, it would be phenomenal to get a coach or whatnot, but just talking to other coaches and asking their experience, just to see what they actually do. I don't think a lot of people understand, the type of work that coaches do. So
yeah.
Tell me something. When you have a new client and you're just going through the process of enrolling or whatever, what is the number one challenge that you encounter with a new person, a new client?
I don't run into a lot of challenges anymore, which is great. I've been doing it 6 years. So I'm at that point, which is good. I think early on is I would be willing to take anybody on. And so the challenges would come in with me not being so clear on who I'm trying to draw in, and almost like that desperate energy. You actually want to work with me? I will take anyone for not a lot of money just so I can get a client, which there's so much to learn in there, but that's where the challenges come in. You get somebody who doesn't want to do the work, who doesn't understand what you do, who doesn't totally get what's going on. Here's a good challenge. You need to train your client in how to be coached. And I just do this automatically now, but as soon as I figured that one out, about I want you to show up for the call with questions. I want you to show up with the call with what went right from last time before what you talk about what went wrong. I want you, when we talk about what goes wrong, it's about looking at it not like you're in trouble or there's shame, and if we got to work through that, we'll work through that. It's about what can you learn from what didn't go right so we can make it work for you. Let's say I'm not a health coach, but let's say it's somebody on a diet and they went and ate desserts every day and put on 3 pounds. I want you to talk to me about what went wrong, because we need to fix whatever that is. And so teaching them that they can come to you like it's you're exploring this, and not all of them show up with that. They want to hide what they did wrong. So training them how to be a client, I think is the biggest thing.
No, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to borrow that technique. I have never heard that. That is phenomenal. And now I'm thinking back, like, man, that would have solved all these issues and problems with people. Like, what are we going to talk about? And then it starts like from the beginning, the probing and all this stuff. That's interesting. We've touched a couple times on the importance of understanding who you can help, or who you want to help. Now, for somebody starting out that is there, right, and it's part of the journey, right? We all go through that. It's like you said, it took 3 years for you. For me, I think it took like 5 or 6. So, what would you say to someone who's, aspiring to be a coach now? What's the best way to go about this, to try to figure out, their skills, the actual gift that they have, to offer? How can they go about that?
Okay, I've got 3 things to say. First off, your ideal client easily could be where you were 2 steps ago. So if you're learning something, whatever it was where you were at 2 or 3 steps ago, you're close enough to understand where they were, and you're far enough ahead that you can guide them to where you are now. And that could be like I started out as a homeschooling coach. I moved on to a business coach, and I'm currently doing energy healing and life transformation and working for other coaches. So that's how my evolution, but I took the things that I knew well, and just how am I ahead of these people? And then I could understand my ideal clients because it was where I was. And chances are, people then you could talk to her in that spot who can give you the language and all that. So that's first. Second, when you're starting out, you can just be present. People will pay you just to listen to them, because often there's so many people who just don't have someone to listen to them objectively and just be there and be ears for them. They're just not heard. So you can do that, and you can do accountability. So what do you want to get done by next week? Great. Let's work on that. And then you could say, what went wrong? Okay, how can we work through that? And then as you're getting these questions about what went wrong, and you're doing your research, both like just in the session, and then I highly recommend you read something every day or listen to a video or something. It just keeps your mind alive, and you've got more to give and you're more excited. So by the next, you just keep building up what you have in your toolbox. And, I was on a call Monday, I think it was, and a woman came up with a relationship problem. I'm not a relationship coach at all. Like that's probably the only area I've not been trained in. And she came up with a relationship problem. I came up with 6 different ways I could help her. And it was a matter of choosing which one would be best for her, because these techniques, they work on all the things, right? If you do inner child work, it's working with everything. If you're doing trauma work, it works with everything. If you're doing goal setting, it works with everything. So as soon as you learn some of these different things, it works with everything. So just keep learning. And the third thing, I don't know what it is anymore.
I think that was the 3 things.
Oh, good. Okay.
Number 1, you're always, you work with people that you are 2 steps ahead of.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2, just listen, be present, and just be there for them. And number 3, be an accountability partner for them. Yeah. Get them. That's phenomenal advice. Thank you, Julie.
Sure.
Now, I wanted to ask you something, because you mentioned, obviously, keep reading, keep studying, or whatever. Going back, several years when you started with Tony Robbins, obviously at some point, he came into your world. He showed up. What else and who else were you following back in those days? Okay. Or do you still follow? Who do you follow these days?
Brenda Bouchard. I'll
Mm-hmm.
follow him every day. I like Mel Robbins. She's new to me. I'm liking her stuff. I find that interesting and inspirational in terms of how she's handling things. Early on, Marie Forleo and her Marie TV, all the time. Watch that all the time. My biggest mentor is Gina DeVee. She's the one who I'm certified through her as a coach,
Okay.
but Tony is very masculine in his energy and how he handles things. She's the one who taught me how to get into the feminine, and I was the masculine person in the business. So I really needed that feminine element. So I've worked with her for years. And she really helped me bring out the feminine. She helped me bring out my coaching skills. I don't think she does certification anymore, but like I said, that's who I certified through. And one of the best things about being in that program, and I recommend this to any coach, I made friends with lots of coaches. My best friends are coaches. And so I can talk to them and I can refer. There's more than enough clients. What is a full roster? 10, maybe 20 people if you're doing one-on-one? That's overwhelming. And that's if you do like every 2 weeks on top of the marketing, right? So there's more than enough, and you'll start referring back and forth to your friends all the time. You'll go on interviews like we're doing here. You'll go on interviews and they'll send your special thing out to their list because whatever you're doing right now complements what they're doing. So it's not a competition with other coaches. You want to go to these events, like go to a Brendon Burchard event. He's got free events. Well, when the world opens back up, he's got free events all the time. Make friends with those people because they're now in your group that you can go and talk to and share people with and share lists with and all that kind of stuff. Who else do I follow? Tony, obviously, he's doing a UPW virtual, and I'm like, okay, it'll be number 7 for me, but I would love just to see what he's going to do online and how he's going to make that work. That's why I'm going to this one.
Interesting. I'm going to have to check that out myself, even though I've been wanting to go several times. I'm in Houston, and I think it was in Dallas last time. I can't remember. I think it was like 2 years ago, and I was this close schedule-wise. It didn't work out. Then he was in Florida, and I'm like, man, I'll wait for him to, circle around. But you know how things are, and now forget it.
Yeah, well, he's doing a virtual one, and he over-delivers. This first one should be great.
Always. Yeah. I love that guy. He's a master. Tell me, now that you mentioned, some of the benefits of, getting certified or going through a certification program. Tell me a little bit more about this programs. Like, what do they entail? What is it that you come away with when you go through one?
Okay. First of all, I don't think you have to go through a certification program. That has nothing to do with what countries and where we're going to end up in terms of licensing. That's a different discussion. When it comes to coaching, I don't think you need to have any kind of program like that to be a good coach. I can say it will help you get there faster. I think one of the best things I got from being in that program was she had a bunch of sessions with people that she had us listen to. So I was able to sit there and listen to her work with clients, and she would do different techniques on purpose in these different recordings so I could hear what it was like. And I think that's one of the things I liked about Tony is when he gets on stage, he'll do an intervention, and you go on YouTube and find those all the time. He advertises with those where he's talking people through changing the way they're thinking about things and reframing things and pulling out the better part of themselves, right? Seeing that kind of transformation and listening to it over and over and over and over, all of a sudden it just becomes easy. And repetition is the key. Like one of the biggest things that was holding me back early on was I didn't know how to do a discovery call. Really, you can't be a coach and you figure out how to sell this stuff. And I decided that's it. 1 month I'm going to master the discovery call. And I went and I went and asked the people in my coaching group, I want to practice discovery calls. And I did 52 discovery calls in 1 month. And most of them were not with people who could possibly become clients. There was no risk. It was me playing with them. It's like, okay, I want you to give me this objection. I want you to give me this objection. And then I would listen to my coach doing the discovery calls. And then I would go in and I would go and practice what she was saying. And I did 2 or 3 a day. I just kept doing them and doing them, doing them. I trade back and forth with people. I really got in, like, I made it a game. So it wasn't about fear. And the other thing is, you don't want to start with your best leads never having done a discovery call. You will bomb them, I promise. So wait, go and practice on a bunch of people first. Go practice on your spouse, your kids, your parents. Go random people. You can find groups online, Facebook groups, where you can trade back and forth for these discovery calls, and just go in there and practice, and then contact them. Oh, and the other trick is go and double. Let's say you're starting with a $2,000 program. On these practice ones, say you're doing a $4,000 program. So when you come back and you're selling that $2,000 program, it's easy to say the $2,000 because you've been telling everybody $4,000, and one of these days the $4,000 will pop out and they'll just give it to you. And it'll be like, okay, I'm so glad I practiced for more than I actually asked for.
Man, thank you so much for all these, golden nuggets, man. These are great tips, by the way, people, you listening. One comment that I wanted to make real quick. Julie's right about you not having to be certified necessarily to be a coach or anything like that. There's no entity that actually, required, it's not regulated. That's what I mean. This industry is not regulated, so you don't need a license to practice coaching or anything like that. Now, on the other side, just like she said, is very important for many other reasons. It exposes you to people, new techniques, other ways of thinking, all kinds of things that are super beneficial for someone who is, looking to become a coach or get better at coaching. And all these techniques, phenomenal. Going to find people on Facebook groups, for you to practice with. That is amazing. Tell me, for you, what is the best thing about being a coach?
Knowing I can make a difference, knowing I can help someone where they're in a place where they're stuck and they just want a different result, and they've tried all the things that they know how to try, and you open that up for them so that they can see the world in a different way. They can learn a new option. They can learn new behaviors. They can do a 2mm shift or a total turnaround, and they walk away with a new option that will make a difference. It's just walking away from those calls knowing that you made a difference. That is the best part of this. And then you get paid for it. Like, how cool is that?
Right. I always say, and I'm sure you've done this exercise a million times too, like, you need to understand your why. Right. And that is the why, right?
Yeah.
It's helping, it's rewarding. But for a lot of people, when they're not used to that type of stuff, they become the center of attention in a way. And for most people, that's outside their comfort zone, even though they want to do the work, but that's one of the barriers that they need to work on and overcome. Tell me, now that we're talking about this, overcoming obstacles and stuff, what was your number one fear going into this?
Okay, so this is a deep underlying belief that I've had since childhood. So this kind of overrode things in my life, but I had an underlying belief early on somewhere that it's not for me. So it was okay for me to learn all this stuff to do it for my husband's business. But if I was going to start a business for myself, well, that's not for me. It's not my place to do that. And so I think the biggest problem for me then, it went into visibility. When I finally started doing Facebook Lives, it took a lot for me to get there. I mean, it took a Tony Robbins event for me to get there.
Walking on fire. It took walking on fire.
Right. but not really, but in a way it did, because I really had to overcome a deep belief system that, well, this isn't for me. I shouldn't be doing this. And so, one of the best parts about doing this work is then we get to do the work on ourselves and see that I know that this is a voice from someone in my small childhood telling me it's not for me. And so now I get to heal that. I get to work through that. And this is, all of us, part of the reason we're coaches is because we're doing the work ourselves anyway, and we want to share this. So but it showed up in all areas. It showed up in the discovery calls where I wasn't confident to ask for money. It showed up in building the website where I wasn't willing to be visible. As you mentioned, it's not working right now, so maybe I need to go reinvestigate that. But realistically, it's
or
not.
Not. It's not gonna.
But definitely visibility and talking. I mean, now I speak on stages and I done lives 90 days in a row at one point. It's not serving my business right now, but it was. And I can film a video for a class like that because it's not a problem. I healed that. So if you're having visibility issues and confidence issues, look into the early childhood stuff and get all the practice you can. Do it as much as you can. Then I had another idea too. If you don't know how to coach and you've not listened to a coach, it's going to be hard to learn how to coach. Go get 3 hour-and-a-half intensives for 3 different types of coaches. Go in there and just experience that. And then go and just coach people. And whenever I hit a slump, or like at one point, I was sick and I took some time off. And then I traveled for a bit and then I came back to get the momentum going. I'm like, okay, I called my friends. I'm giving out some free sessions. I just want to get the ball moving again. So I get excited about it again and get it going. Just, I'll give out 5 sessions for $50, $100, whatever, $25, and just get the ball rolling and practice. Say, I'm going to do 20 hours this month of free coaching just to get things going. Don't try and get paid right away. Then you'll get the fears and all that kind of stuff out of the way.
That's a phenomenal advice. To be honest, well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing, your insecurities with us and publicly, because it can only help, right? It already helped me, to be honest. And on the other side, that's exactly, how I think people should start, and sometimes not even charging. That's how I started to. I just grab a bunch of strangers. They have to be strangers, in my opinion. No friends, no family, unless you're practicing something, you're role playing. But if you're going to start coaching, just find 4 people, on a Facebook group, just, send some messages or whatnot. And like, listen, I just want to coach you. I'm starting out, I'm new to this. I'm trying to build my skills or whatnot. Would you mind getting some coaching sessions with me for free? No strings attached. I'm not going to ask you for anything other than a testimonial, and that's about it. And see how we go. And then you give me some feedback and we both learn, and it's all good. That's how I started. I have never, I want people to hear this, I have never gotten a no, especially when you offer something for free like this. Never. Right. If you're afraid, of going out there and asking someone, hey, can I be of service in any capacity? Can I, offer some advice or whatnot? Don't be afraid, because people sometimes want that. And they're the ones afraid to ask for it. You're never going to get a no. And if you get a no, you go to the next person. It's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. For someone starting out as a coach right now, what would you say to them? What would be, the steps to follow?
Go get 3 coaching sessions, like the cheap ones even. It doesn't, go see what other coaches are doing just so you can see what it's like. That's first. Second, you want to get a scheduler. It makes you look like a scheduler, and a Facebook page or an Instagram page will make you look more real than a website. Stay away from the website. Don't go there right away. It's not worth it. It's not worth the money. Work on accountability. Like, if you can figure out goal setting and accountability, so many people need that. And then just listen. That totally, you can build a whole business on that. And then go figure out what it is you love, and then just start reading the books and get, go watch Tony or Brendan on YouTube, because they've got stuff there. That's just it. You can pull from these people. This is where you're going to learn stuff, by watching what they're doing. Tony flat out says, use my stuff. That's why I'm doing this. Like, so feel free to use whatever he's talking about, because he flat out says it.
No, good to know. I'm about to borrow even more stuff.
Not the fire rock. I heard a bad story about that. Just not the fire. Let's see. Practice so that the fears don't get in the way. You get comfortable before those subconscious fears just shut you down. Yeah, it's that 30-day challenge thing. I just love that. this month I want to master doing discovery calls. So I'm going to create a block of time. Like, let's say you have a full-time job. I want to do 3 discovery calls a week where I trade. Okay. So half an hour for me, half an hour for them, hour for me, hour for them, maybe even 2 a week, and block it into your schedule and just go find people in some Facebook group. I want to practice discovery calls with other coaches who are new, get coached on whatever, just so you can experience it. The more you do that, the better it'll be. Udemy. I mean, if you don't have any money and you just want a taste of experiences and what to do, go on Udemy and go, I know there's one, I had a client she was totally going to build her business on this $15 Udemy How to Be Happy course. And she did it. Now, then she went to me for coaching. So then she invested in a bigger coaching program, but we used that as the root of it. And so she took the happiness and combined it with the fact that she's owned her own business forever and combined that into how to be a happy business owner. And it worked. Yeah. So, get as much information as you can every day. Like 15 minutes a day will change your world.
Totally agree. Do you think that anyone can become a coach?
I think if you want to be, if you have that calling, you can be. I can name some people that there's no way they should be coaching, but they also don't want to be coaching. And so I think that's the key. If you have the desire, you can definitely become a coach. I think it's available.
Phenomenal. In your opinion, what makes a great coach?
The ability to be present. If you can be 100% present with the other person, that gives you the magic. Being a learner, a constant learner, that makes a great coach. And I would say someone who, no, it's not necessary to have a bigger vision, but if you can have a bigger vision and draw them into it, that's a good trait too, but you don't have to have that. Being positive, I think that is another, if you're on the more positive side of things, then you'll be a great coach because you can always show them what's right rather than what's wrong. What's wrong is always available, but let's look for what's right.
That's right. What makes a great coaching session, or how do you go about creating a great coaching session for someone?
Okay. So one of the first things, I have an intake questionnaire, both in my program and for each individual session. So for the program, I ask them, how do you learn? What are you expecting out of this? What do you want out of this? I have I think 10 or 12 different options in there. Like, do you want accountability? Do you want homework? Do you want books to read? Do you just want someone to listen to you? Do you want advice? Do you want me to talk to you? Then you got to read between the lines too, but they definitely tell you how they work more. So you come into it knowing. So if you come into it knowing that, you're halfway there. Then before each session, you have to train them how to be a client, right? So you have that questionnaire about, what 3 things do you want to talk about this time? What wins did you had since last time we've talked? What didn't go well? What can you learn from that? What do you want to work on with that? Those kinds of questions. If you can get them to pre-think about that before you come in, you don't waste any time on that either.
Sure.
And you got to stop them from having the stories, unless they're the client who just wants someone to listen. If they want results, here's a big one. Figure out what they want. When you're done with this program, what results are you expecting? And then keep visiting that. Now, half the time or more, you don't even end up with the results because you go on a tangent, but you keep checking with them. You know what? We're not going that direction, but you know what? We're solving these inner child problems instead of building your business, which will get you more in the long run. Are you okay with that? And this is what the kind of results we're working towards are. Are you okay with that? And if you are conscious about saying this is the direction it's going and it's not going exactly the way you wanted, or you know what, maybe we need to get away from some of this stuff. If you must have your business done in 3 months or 6 months or whatever long the program is, we need to keep steering back towards these concepts. And so if you're very conscious about, we're going towards the goals or not, what do you want? Why do you want it? Keep going back to those concepts and drawing them back to those concepts and checking with them. You can't go wrong.
That is such a great tip. And I've noticed that myself too. Like, I have this thing where I ask the client at the beginning to write me a letter, and the date is 6 months from now, or whatever, or 3 months from now, or whatnot. And from that point of view, right? Looking back, this is what we accomplished,
Love
right?
it. Yeah.
And more often than not, I mean, you think that you're gonna get them there or whatnot at the beginning, right? When you're starting out, but there's so much work that has to be done for you to, get there, that we cannot go there without this work. So the work becomes the inner work, right? And that's why they're not there because of all these stuff that are holding them back or whatnot. But that is a phenomenal tip, what you just said. Tell me, what are a couple books that you would recommend, an aspiring coach to read?
Okay. All right. First off, this is like a no-brainer. Like this must be in your library. It's expensive because I think it's a self-published.
It is expensive these days. I mean, I remember when I got it, it wasn't, I mean, it was like a normal price, like $20, $25 or whatnot. Nowadays, like you said, it's almost like they're not making them anymore or whatever. And they're like in the $50 range, $60. Last time I checked, I don't know.
Worth every penny. Just do it.
Sure.
If you're going to be a coach, it's the book to own. Sure. I don't even agree with all of his processes and what he does. I work from a different philosophy, but it doesn't matter because it's you can't go wrong with it. Yep. Like you'll learn the other stuff along the way. All right. Then another one, this will give you lots of tools. Any of the 7 habits.
Oh, yeah.
This one's family. I use this all the time just because the kind of coaching I do, but there's one for highly effective business. There's highly effective person. Any of those, the 7 habits will take you far. It'll create a coaching program for you. Let's see. The Big Leap. I love the Big Leap because it's all about
Hendricks. Gay Hendricks, right? Was it?
Yeah.
I love that book. Yes.
Yeah. Because it's all about the transformation, right? And what's holding you back. So if you read that will create a program for you. And the same thing with The One Thing. I feel like it's got the same feel to it. The One Thing. And then I think if you want to make money in this business and you're starting to work on your own and all that, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, reading that for 15 minutes every day for 6 months, that or Think and Grow Rich, those two. You want to work on your wealth consciousness because that will also feed into your clients. You'll start reciting those words and giving them to your clients.
The Science of
Getting Rich. And it's mindset. It's not about what to do with money.
What was that? The last name of the author? Or
Wallace Wattles.
I'll do WW. I'm not going to even try to.
Yeah. And then Think and Grow Rich. Everybody talks about.
You just said something that I don't want it to just go by without noticing or acknowledging it. You said, any one of these books, you can create a program out of it, or several programs out of, like, for example, like 7 habits. That's 7 programs right there, right?
Oh, it could be, yeah.
But I want everybody to listen to that tip, and even myself. Sometimes I forget. I'm like, where am I going to get this information? Okay, hold on. Okay, I've read all these books. Let me just put them together, and that's your program, right? It is okay to borrow. That's how the greatest learned, right? That's how Tony Robbins learned everything from, like, Jim Rohn, primarily, and all the books that he read prior to him working for Jim Rohn. So, it is okay to borrow this stuff. As a matter of fact, Tony Robbins has lines that were Jim Rohn's lines, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, you are spreading the word, right? Spreading the knowledge, spreading what you're learning. So thank you for mentioning that, because that's phenomenal. Tell us a little bit now about the work that you do and the people that you work with right now.
Okay. So it's interesting. I started as a homeschooling coach. I went into a business coach. And then about 2.5 years ago, my coach pointed out something that what I considered to be something I considered myself broken or a learning disability was actually my greatest strength. And I needed to really open that up because it was starting to really cause problems. And I have something called synesthesia, which means my senses are crossed. I have multiple different variations, but one of the loudest is I see sound. So all sound is like playing on a screen in front of my head all the time, unless I'm actively trying to push it back, which causes problems. Also, all my letters and numbers are very color coordinated, and like I'll memorize things in lists based on colors. I have the time one where it's a wheel and it moves and it's 3-dimensional. I have like 6 or 7. Those are the primary ones that I use on a regular basis. And I was told it was a learning disability, so I kept pushing it away. And by doing that, it was causing a lot of problems. Like my senses were shutting down. I had problems being in large groups of people, all sorts of stuff. And she's like, wait a minute, what if you just use this? What if this is actually a superpower? What if you actually brought this into your coaching? Like you mentioned at one point that you could tell when the kids were lying because their head was a different color, and you know, that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, but I'm not supposed to use that because someone told me when I was little it wasn't a good thing, right? So I was actually at one of her events, and the next day I was like, wait a minute, what if I actually did start using this in my coaching? So I asked some of my friends who are in this program, it's like, will you let me play with you? Like, we'll just go through the basic, you know, what do you want? Why do you want it? How can we make this happen kind of thing? But I'm going to watch you with the colors this time, and let's see what I can do with it. 62 of the women said, play with me. I want to try this over like 6 weeks. And I was able to take that, and I already had Reiki training because I had this healthcare business, right? I had Reiki training. I was able to take what I saw color-wise in terms of what's stalled in the body and use the Reiki stuff to move the stalled energy in the body, which just changed what was happening in my sessions on a monumental level. If you can remove the traumas that happen, and like it can be as easy as little as you falling down when you were a little kid, or someone telling you no in a situation that you don't even remember, but you store that trauma in your body as a way to learn, especially pre-5. We eliminate those traumas or the stories that come down through your family, like the Depression or the Holocaust, or those traditions that are brought down through the family. If you can pull those away energetically from the body and be open to who you really are, even just for several weeks, which is what Tony does in his events, right? I've kind of figured out how to do that with the energy. I open up my clients so they can experience from their true selves what they want and where they want to go. The fears are gone for a while. Now their habits and behaviors will build that energy back up again. The people they are surrounded with will build it back up again. But then they have that opening, and through coaching, we can then take them to replace their actions, replace their belief systems, replace their habits, so that each time it's less and less in terms of the energy building up in the body. And what's so great, and the most important thing is, I was easily 4 years into my coaching experience when this happened. And she pointed out something I thought was a weakness really was my strength. And what makes me so good as a coach and makes me feel like I am living my purpose, I was told was a learning disability. So what do you have that somewhere along the line you dismissed because it didn't fit in school? You know, everybody's got to be the same way, right? In a business situation, everybody's got to be the same way. How are you different? How can you bring that to the situation? And not only do you have that as a resource, but that self-discovery is also a great process to be as a coach, to bring that to that. So what is your special about you? What's different about you that you can bring to this? And once I open up to it, then I could start talking about it. And it's interesting, as soon as I just open up about all this stuff and talk about all this, the fear of all of it disappeared. Like the secrets just,
you let go.
As soon as you let go of the secret, it's like it has no more power over you. But then people are like, wait a minute, that sounds so familiar. You know, I was told that I had this or that other thing. I was dyslexic. How many geniuses were dyslexic and they were pulled out of school? And so it's not a disability. It just doesn't fit in the school system. How is it a strength? And, you know, just at some point you'll just like, whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. I'll talk about it. And then they don't have anything on you anymore. It's like, they're not going to use it against you because it doesn't hold power. And that transformation was incredible, transformed my business. And so that's what I do now. I go in and I help people remove all those blocks. And what I've been doing recently is I've been going into other people's group programs and doing 3 or 4 sessions with their clients and opening that up so that the work that the my friends who are the coaches, right, the work that they're doing can come back in and work on whatever it is. One's a relationship coach, and one's a business coach. One is working on intuition. So I'm going in and I'm just opening up their clients for them so they can go and do the work and have it sit better. And because I found my specialty, I found my thing.
That is beautiful. And what a gift. What a gift you have. That's awesome, Julie. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing all that. What do you want your legacy to be?
That you can open up, you can grow, you can change the things that create pain in your life. You can do it no matter what. And those things are your gifts. And living an unlimited life and being happy, it's available to everyone. And being in love and out of fear, in the state of love, you know, and that place, rather than being afraid of things all the time, is a beautiful thing. And it is available to anybody who is open to it.
Awesome. Julie, how can people learn more about you, what you do, and or how can they get in touch with you?
Okay, so my Instagram is JuliG47, Julig 47. I'm Juli Gauthier on Facebook, Juli Gauthier, Gauthier. And you can go to my website, juligauthier.com. I'm not super active there, but you can definitely contact me through that. Those are the 3.
I'll add links. I'll be adding links to all those 3 places down below for you guys to go check out Julie. Julie, this has been a phenomenal interview with you, and so much wisdom has transpired. You know, I'm overwhelmed. I'm gonna have to go out there and make myself a margarita or something to start digesting all the. Now it's been awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all this stuff with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Hey, guys, for everyone out there, stay safe. Listen to this interview like 7 times a week, okay? If you really want to become a coach, it's all here. You don't have to, go read this, that, nothing. It's all here. So stay safe, and let's get out there and start changing lives one session at a time. See you later.